Ridley Scott's Alien debuted in 1979 and left audiences shocked, stunned, and enthralled with its gripping storyline, gory practical effects, and bristling air of menace and dread. Since then, there have been a string of sequels as well as several games published within the Aliens universe. Now in June 2023, a new nightmare is set to begin in Focus Entertainment's upcoming Aliens Dark Descent. So what can players expect to encounter this time around? And is there anything that makes the game special or exciting? To help you out, we put together 5 things you need to know about Aliens Dark Descent. Let's begin, shall we? Number 1. A little context. Set 2 decades after the events of Alien 3, Aliens Dark Descent is a squad-based, single-player action horror game that sees you assume command of a crack squad of Colonial Marines who have no choice but to deal with a catastrophic Xenomorph outbreak originating from the Weyland-Yutani Corporation's Tantalus base, which is located on the planet Lethe. In essence, Dark Descent takes a lot of inspiration from James Cameron's Aliens, since weapons such as pulse rifles, automated sentry guns, and smart guns are all present within the game. Moreover, much of the Tantalus base strongly resembles the terraforming colony the Marines in the movie encountered on the exomoon LV-426. In many respects, this movie is where the franchise peaked in terms of visuals and world building, so the fact that Dark Descent draws on the film's aesthetics and bleak atmosphere is a net positive in my opinion. And much like the material from which it draws its inspiration, Dark Descent also features greedy, corrupt humans who have their own insane agendas they're trying to fulfill. I'm not too sure if you'll encounter a Carter Burke type, but I wouldn't be too surprised if there's some maniacal human bad guy behind the outbreak. Or maybe it's some kind of death cult. If you've read some of the Aliens novels, then that's a possibility too. But seeing that Weyland-Yutani is in the mix, the old big corporation bad narrative might be what plays out here. Whatever the case, you're going to have to fight your way through a lot of aliens if you hope to survive and save humanity from the prospect of the worst kind of extinction. Number 2. Different classes. The Marines you're working with aren't your standard grunts. These are some very tough hombres packing state-of-the-art firepower. There's nothing they can't handle. Aliens Dark Descent features 5 different Marine classes. First up is your Gunner, a Marine who carries an M56 smart gun and provides his squad with exceptional fire support. While it might be obvious, sufficient firepower is crucial in combat situations, so having at least one gunner around is definitely a good idea. Next is the Medic. Seeing that death is permanent in Dark Descent, it's important to keep your squad's health and well-being in mind at all times. There's little doubt that your squad are going to take some punishment, so without a medic to patch them up, they may succumb to their injuries. The Recon Marine is kind of like a rogue in other games and is faster, stealthier, and more agile than other Marines. They serve as scouts and can help to spot imminent threats in the area before you blunder headlong into a seething hive full of Xenomorphs. Recons are thus an integral part of any squad. Then there's the Sergeant, who is basically the backbone of the squad and provides them with the strategic edge and confidence they need to survive. Side note, I can never forgive what happened to Apone. Last but not least is the Techer, a highly resourceful and intelligent Marine who can hack doors and security systems to grant you access to new areas and give you a decided advantage on the battlefield. Each of Dark Descent's 5 starting classes brings important skills to the table, so learning about and understanding each of them will be critical if you want to succeed in defeating your horrific foes. And this brings me to my next point. Number 3. Some truly deadly enemies. Your Marines will have to deal with some highly evolved and vicious adversaries. Of course, there will be plenty of Xenomorphs in all their terrifying glory for you to take on. Some confirmed types are Runners, Warriors, Praetorians, and Queens. Oh, and let's not forget facehuggers. They may be small and pretty fragile, but their deadliness cannot be overstated. Just remember that aliens all have concentrated acid for blood, so the farther away you can keep from them, the better. One of the weirder enemies you'll encounter in the game are Guardians. These elite cultists of the Darwin era are humans who have been implanted with a device called embryostasis, which slows down the Xenomorph life cycle, effectively preventing a chest burster from emerging. This basically allows them to coexist with the Xenomorph since they are effectively one of the hive. I'm not too sure just how deadly these enemies are, but they are definitely very, very creepy. Then you'll also encounter maintenance synths, otherwise known as working Joes, who sport hairless rubber skin and will only really attack your squad members if you enter a restricted area or breach a certain protocol. Long story short, if their eyes glow red, then it's probably a good idea to take them out as soon as possible lest they throttle you to death. I'm not entirely sure if these are all the enemies you'll encounter in Dark Descent, but they will definitely constitute the majority of the resistance you'll be met with. Knowing the strengths and weaknesses of enemies will be key, since dispatching them efficiently will undoubtedly spell the difference between life and death. Number 4. Manage your assets. You are the commander of the Marines, so their lives are in your hands. They are your greatest assets, so making sure they're in good health and don't lose their cool is paramount. However, in order to achieve this, you'll need to pay very close attention to your squad's stress meter, which will tell you exactly how cool, calm and collected, or on the verge of a mental collapse your Marines are. If a Marine's meter reaches 100, they'll suffer from one of several debuffs. For example, a completely stressed Marine may become less accurate, or they might panic or stop obeying orders entirely. To make matters worse, debuffs can stack, reaching a maximum of 3, which basically means by this stage your Marine will be completely useless and a terrible burden on the rest of your squad. Thankfully, there are ways to reduce stress, such as by providing Marines with medical attention or sealing a door and giving them a safe area in which to rest for a few minutes. But there's a caveat here because medkits are limited and you have limited resources, so every time you seal a room, it consumes some of these. As a leader, you'll have to figure out the best strategy and budget accordingly if you want to prevail in the end. It's also a good idea to explore the map to uncover secrets and complete side quests to earn additional rewards to help you in the fight against the Xenomorphs. Do your best to be an Ellen Ripley. A mindset like Lieutenant Gorman's just isn't going to cut it here. And last but not least, number 5, research and level up. Thankfully, you can level up your Marines as you progress, making them more capable and tougher out in the field. There are many different specializations as well as unique abilities that can make all the difference in combat, so wherever possible, make sure your soldiers are as well trained and prepared for the challenges ahead of them. To help in the fight, you'll also be able to research new tech that will undoubtedly allow you to deal with more stressful situations and bigger, uglier enemies. Of course, you'll need to be selective about when and what to research since, again, resources are finite, and just so you know, you're going to need a way off of this bug-infested rock, so you'll also need to ensure that you have enough resources to repair the USS Otago, the spacecraft that actually brought you to the Eye of Hell in the first place. Even after you level up your Marines and deck them out with some amazing new weapons and tech, you'll still need to keep an eye on their vitals because, as I mentioned earlier, death is permanent, so lose a squad member and they're essentially gone forever. Overall, Aliens Dark Descent looks like it'll be an intensely thrilling gaming experience and one that fans of the franchise will not want to miss. Aliens Dark Descent releases on June 20th, 2023 and will be available on PlayStation, Xbox and PC. So that's it. That's 5 things you need to know about Aliens Dark Descent. Are you going to be picking up the game when it launches? And who's your favorite character from the Aliens franchise? Let me know in the comments. Please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more gaming, VR and tech content. From me and the crew here at Metasquad, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Later!